Hey guys, Chris from the Ultimate Recycler. Welcome back to the shed. We have a TV here, a Teac DVD/TV combo. It was dropped off to the shop for Ewaste. They just said it had blown up. What's that really mean? There's been no explosion. Obviously it's not working. Let's see if it's worth fixing. Let's see if we can fix it. If we can't, maybe we can sell some parts. Maybe it's just Ewaste. Let's find out. Okay, it looks in pretty good condition. It doesn't look like there's been any physical breakages. And it's manufactured July 2010, so it's 14 years old. It's a model LCD V3257DVR, 32, I guess 32 inch. So it's a good size TV, it'd be good in a bedroom, something like that, especially with the DVD player. Let's hope we can get it going. Okay, I like getting TVs in the e-waste because even if they are no good or if the screen's cracked, actually if the screen's cracked it's not a bad thing because I can see if the boards are okay, and I've actually done really well selling boards on eBay. But if it is no good, at least I usually get a good remote out of it, which are handy for other jobs or even just to sell, and also get a power cord, of course. Right, let's put some power onto it. We have a blue light down here. It's a good sign. We're going to get any sort of picture. Okay, let's see if it will power up. Okay, blue flashing red. So I think that's some sort of error code. Now it's gone back to red, but no life in it at all. Turns to blue when I push on or power. So I would have thought red would be standby and blue would be on. It's interesting that it came on straight away, but nothing on the screen. I wonder if the backlights are gone and there is a picture on the screen. Okay, I can't see any picture there. When the backlights are gone, a torch will actually show up if there is a picture, but I can't see any signs of life on the screen at all. So I think it's worth pulling the back off and just having a look from there. So I've removed the back of the TV. It came off fairly easily. Your normal decent handful of screws are right around the outside. Interestingly, the DVD component is like a modular thing, and it just one screw held it in the back, and we have one cable that just plugged in. So I kind of like that idea. So that was easy to move out of the road. Now, as for the problems, well, was just thinking, all right, where will we start? Well, look at the power supply board, scan across the capacitors, and they're starting to look okay. However, the ones underneath that heatsink, especially the back three, appear to be bulged, and that would certainly cause some problems. So what I'm going to do before I disconnect anything else, I'm going to plug it back in, and it does give voltages on the outputs. I've just unplugged these, and we'll just check the voltages, but I'm sure they'll be wrong because the capacitors, there's at least 3, maybe even 4 under that heatsink that I'm going to have to replace. And that will certainly, obviously, if the voltages aren't right, well, the main board's not going to operate properly. The backlights probably won't even come on. There's all sorts of issues going to go on. So we will check the voltages first, then we will take the power board off, and we'll look at replacing capacitors, maybe test a few of the others, and see how we go from there. Okay, I've got the meter earthed under the frame there, so that should be fine. Let's see if we've got any voltages here. The first one is ground, so that's nothing, then ground again. And we should have 5 volts. We've got nothing, nothing. The standby voltage is nothing. We had the light come on though. It must have been some voltage getting through. Now we have 0.05 volts on the 12 volt line. Yeah, there's certainly issues. The power supply is simply not working. We have a 1/4 volt on that. That should be 24 volts. Okay, look, clearly there's an issue with the board. We can tell that from the capacitors anyway, so there's no sense checking in further, but we will check that obviously once we've fixed the capacitor issue. And hopefully that's the only problem. Okay, our power's off. We can disconnect the input line there. There's also an earth wire, and we need to make sure that capacitor's shorted out. Nothing in it at all. which probably isn't surprising because the power supply is not working properly. All right, and take these mounting screws out. There we go, our board is removed. So we'll take it into the other workshop and have a good look over that and just check some capacitors and identify exactly which ones are certainly bulged and see if I've got some replacements. So now it's time to operate here, and getting to these capacitors is a bit of a challenge. I'm going to have to take this heatsink off. I think the best way, rather than disturb these transistors, I might just unsolder them. So I've got 3 legs on each to unsolder, and then the heatsink is held in by one tab there and one over this side. Yeah, that's right. So if we undo those, unsolder those, and then the 3 transistors, the whole assembly will lift away and we won't disturb the mounting of the transistors with its heatsink compound and everything. So that's what we'll do. We'll fire the soldering iron up and we shall desolder some things. Now I'll put a bit of fresh solder on each spot. It just helps it melt better and it allows the solder sucker to clean most of it out. And we'll go along and do the same on the transistor points. Now time to remove it all. That should lift out of the road. There we go, complete assembly removed. And that will be easy to solder back in when we've finished with these capacitors. Whoa, they're certainly bulged. Now that one looks okay, but that one, and that one have big rounded tops on them. All the others look okay, but I will test them all with my ESR meter. But we might as well just take these bulged ones straight out because they're guaranteed they'll be well and truly out of spec and probably starting to leak. Okay, I've removed the dodgy capacitors, well certainly the first 3. The other one, even though the top looks flat, I'm pretty sure I'll replace it because they're all in a row there and it's probably just likely to be had it anyway. We will check the specs on that. I might replace these other ones if I've got them, just replace this whole section. I've found a couple of new ones I've got to replace some of them. They're actually 16 volt instead of 10 volt, so that's fine. And they're the same temperature rating. So those 2 are 1000 microfarad 16 volt. So they replace those 2. These ones, I didn't have any in my kit that were high enough voltage. These are 25 volt, 470 microfarad 25 volt. I found a couple in an old kit I had that are the same rating, but they're quite a lot larger. So I don't think we'll get them in. But I did find a board in my mid-grade boards pile, and we have a couple here that are the right size, and I think these are 35 volt instead of 25, so they'll be fine. They're probably pretty good quality ones, I would imagine. Probably better quality than the ones I've got in my little kit from eBay. I'll unsolder them and I'll test them to make sure they're okay. And I could possibly have a look on some other boards for these ones if I don't have the right size. So that's next. I will round up all the replacements. I think I'll replace all of these. This is all the low voltage side of this power supply. And because some of these have gone, I would imagine none of them are going to be very healthy. So I think I'll replace them all. So last night I managed to recap most of this area. A couple I showed you yesterday I ended up swapping out for some other ones I found because they were the wrong temperature rating. These 2 I didn't have a replacement, but they both checked okay. They're within spec. But I did replace most of the others because I had stock here to do it. The only issue I've got is I've pulled one from here that was way outside its ESR reading or acceptable level. So I wasn't prepared to try it with that one still there. That's the one over here. It's a 100 microfarad 35 volt, and I could not find one on a board. I found lots of 100 microfarad capacitors, but they're all lower voltages, and you can't put a lower voltage one in. So I've had to order one of those. It's too far out of spec to try and use. Everything else looks okay on the board. I did check some of these other little capacitors. There's a couple around the place, but most of them are over this side. So hopefully that's the only problem. I mean, unless unless one of these capacitors has caused something else to short out. Hopefully not. So yeah, we can't do much more until I get that one single one to replace, and then we'll put it back in the TV. And it's about a week later, and I have my new capacitors. I bought a lot of 5. I figure if I'm going to buy one with the postage, I might as well get a few spares. I might need them again. That packet of 5 cost me $12, I think. $12.25, including postage, so not too bad. They're fairly cheap parts to source, and I think these are probably fairly good quality ones. They say low ESR, but then again, they're probably all made in China, so who really knows. Hopefully it does the trick. So we've just got to install it in here with the polarity the right way. That's it. As simple as that. We'll solder that one in. I'll bend the leads out so it doesn't fall out. So we can solder that one in, then solder our 3 transistors on the heatsink back in, put it back in the TV and give it a test. And we'll just snip the leads off so that they don't short on anything. Now to refit our heatsink with transistors. Hopefully none of the leads have been bent, so they should all drop back in through the holes. Looks like they will. Beautiful. And now we just have to solder the heatsink points, which will require a little bit more heat. With the board reassembled, it's time to put it back in the TV and give it some juice and see if it actually works. So we've got to put the earth back on, and it will probably need to be earthed to the chassis. So we'll screw that down. And I'll plug our mains back in. All right, we'll leave these 2 off for now. Now, it's possible that some of them won't provide proper voltages until the power board communicates with the main board. Sometimes there has to be the standby voltage, and I'm not sure where the switch operates from, but the rest of the power board may be told to be turned on by the control board, but we would certainly expect to have 5 volts on standby. So we'll power it up carefully, hopefully nothing goes bang, and we'll get the meter out and give it a test. Okay, we have power at the moment. Let's turn our meter on and go to DC voltage. Okay, so we'll earth that out there, and we have standby voltage in the middle here somewhere. Which pin is it? Oh, there we go, 5.06. So there's our standby voltage. I wonder if we have 12 volts off here. No, we don't. And 24 volts over here? No, but we've got our standby voltage back, so I think when we turn the TV on now, it should wake up the power supply. Hopefully, we have made some improvement anyway. Oh, well, of course, we need to plug it in first, don't we? So I'll turn the power off to the TV at this stage, and then we can plug these in. Okay, we'll power it back up now and see what voltages we have this time. I think I can still get to the pins in here. Which was our standby? There, 5.06. Now, it doesn't even use this 24 volt line, and it's not putting out 24 volts, so it should be 12. No, maybe I need to actually turn the TV on. Alright, I can see a blue light down the bottom corner that you guys can't see. So I think the TV is on. Let's see what voltages we've got now. Okay, annoyingly, we're not getting voltages anywhere else except the 5 volt standby. So something else is wrong with the power supply. It's quite possible that a capacitor has leaked DC voltage through and blown a diode, or there might be a fusible resistor here that's gone. I think all the inductors probably would be okay. Transformers should be okay. I can easily test those, but we might have troubles with one of the transistors or a diode. I think we've got to look a bit further to solve our problems. So at this stage, I don't know if the problem is in the power board or maybe is a fault in the main board. So I've decided to pull the main board out and just have a look underneath. One of the capacitors here does have some dodgy looking gunk at the bottom of it. I think that's glue, but that looks like some sort of leakage. I'm not sure, so we better test that one. But I'll just have a bit of a look under there. I'm really not sure if the power board is okay and it's just not getting the right signal from this control board, or the fault is in the power board. Very confusing. So I'm going to pull the main board out and just test a couple of capacitors. There's no bulged ones on here, but that does look very suspicious, that brown gunk at the bottom of that one. Quite a few hours of work later, and I've got the main board here. I've been working on it. I did pull the large one out there that had that glue and that brown stuff. It tested okay. It looked okay underneath the capacitor, so I scraped the brown stuff off. I don't know what that was. There was a bit on these two up the end to the larger ones, but again, those larger capacitors tested okay. So I've been doing a bit more research, and I'm pretty sure I have actually fixed the power board, and the 5-volt standby voltage is normal and it's not getting a signal to turn the rest of it on. I did try and short a couple of pins, but I didn't want to muck around too much in case I caused some damage. But I have a steady 5-volt standby voltage, so I thought, all right, maybe there's something wrong with this main board. So I started checking the capacitors, and if you look closely, they all have little black dots on them because I went through the entire board and checked every one of them. And lo and behold, quite a lot of them, these are the ones where we replaced out of the power supply, and these were bad capacitors on the main board. Most of those ones were well outside the ESR acceptable levels, so I replaced them. Luckily I had every single one in my kit, so that was nice. And you can see on the back all the leads. I haven't trimmed off yet, of course I'm going to do that. Can you see them? Probably a bit hard, they're very fine. There are 10 capacitors that I've had to replace right across the main board. But I've checked every single one of them. All the ones that I replaced were quite a way outside ESR readings. So surely that would have been mucking up the main board's ability to operate, and certainly to sense and turn on the power supply board. So I haven't tested it yet. Obviously I've still got to trim these leads off so they don't short anywhere. But I've soldered them all back in. I'm about to trim them up. We'll remount it in the TV and we'll turn it on and see if we have success this time. Rightio, the moment of truth. Everything's back together. Let's power it up. Hopefully I didn't put a capacitor in the wrong polarity or anything, but we have power applied to it now. Everything seems to be okay. Let's see if we have some voltages and correct voltages. Right, where was our standby? That one, 5.06. This end should be 12 volts. No, that's what we were getting before. What's going on here? What about over here? Do we have 24 volts here? No. This one should be 24 volts as well. No. Okay, well, maybe we still have a problem on the power supply board. But where could it be? Just checking the DC voltage on the main capacitor here. It should be a very high voltage. And we have 373 volts DC. I think that's roughly what I'd expect. But if we turn the unit off, it should still hold a voltage for quite some time. That's why these things are dangerous. And it's not. So that's one capacitor I actually didn't check when I had the board out. But after turning it off straight away, we have less than a volt. That doesn't seem right. It should be holding a charge there. So maybe that one's crook. I might just pull that board out again and check that one. So I have removed this large capacitor from the board. It was actually glued down as well. And it's 120 microfarad 450 volt. Now I put it on my ESR meter, and we'll do that again now, and strangely I'm not getting any reading at all. It's like open circuit, which I haven't seen on a capacitor before, which is odd. So I put it in my little component tester here, and I'll do that again. And we'll fire that up, and it's usually pretty accurate, this thing. And it comes back with no or unknown or damaged part. Interesting. So I thought, well, let's try and at least read the microfarads on it, see if we can get close to 120. And I've put it on my meter here, and we get no microfarad reading at all. It's totally open circuit. So that would explain why it's not holding charge, and it probably would explain why our power supply board isn't working properly. So I have to find another one of these. I don't have any of these in my kit, and I don't have many old power supply boards floating around. I don't generally keep these because I don't resell them for scrap. I usually just take them to the transfer station. So I'm going to have to try and dig up one of these capacitors, or maybe order one and then wait another week to get this project finished. We'll see how we go. Amazingly, I found a capacitor that tests quite well. It's within specs, and it just came out of one of these inline power supplies. I don't know, I've just kept this for parts, and it paid off. So yeah, it's worth keeping a bit of junk around sometimes. Exactly the right voltage and microfarads. It tests good. Just for interest's sake, let's put it on my little tester and see what that says. Okay, we'll see what this makes of it. Testing, testing. Ah, very good. It says it's a capacitor, about 104 microfarads. Ah, not bad. It's probably down a bit. What was it supposed to be? 120, I think. Yeah, but that, I don't think the microfarads makes a big deal of difference for this application. So there we go, and it's a pretty good ESR, I think. So excellent. We'll put this in circuit, see if that fixes our problem. How many capacitor problems can one circuit have? No, I mean, seriously, how many capacitors can be blown up in one TV? It's just crazy. It must have been a particularly bad batch this year. Okay, we're up to test, what, 113 or something? Let's power it up again. Okay, I can hear a little bit of a high-pitched whistle. Nothing bad, just a normal something's happening in the electronic world type whistle. Okay, I guess we should check voltages first. I haven't tried to power the TV up. Interestingly, the light came on blue when I first turned it on each other time, and it looks like the light might be red. So that's kind of promising. Righto, let's turn this on, and let's go back to DC voltage. Where was our 5 volt line? We did have 5 for a second. Oh, there we go. Do we have 12? Where was 12? No, we haven't got any voltage. Although I haven't actually turned the TV on. We did have our 5, didn't we? There we go. Let's actually turn the switch on. Now our light's gone blue. Do we have, well, let's try this one, 24. Oh, we're off scale. Oh, actually that's good. Let's go to the 200 scale. We have 24, yay! And we should have 12 back here. There we go, 12. Excellent, we have correct voltages. Now, assuming there's no other faults in the main board, it might actually work. Now, oh, I can see some backlights. Don't know if you guys can see over here. We have backlights on the TV. Very promising. Let's, I think I can actually lift it up where it is now without damaging anything. See what's on, if there's anything on the screen. Better not slide off the end of the workbench. Oh, I believe there's something on the screen that says no signal. Whoa, I think we might have fixed it. All right, I'll try and prop it up somewhere and we'll have a better look at the screen. And we look at that, the little no signal icon is doing a happy dance all around the screen. And if I wasn't standing here holding the TV, I'd be doing a happy dance as well. Fantastic. All right, I'm confident now to put it back together. I'll make sure everything's plugged in. I have to put the DVD module back in and plug that on. But I reckon we've solved the problems. Problems being plural, a whole heap of capacitors. And here we go, the TV is back together. Let's give it a quick test on camera. We'll turn it on. I did clean up the remote control. It was absolutely filthy, so I took it apart and cleaned that out. Fresh batteries in it. TV powers up nicely. We go straight to the digital TV where there's no signal. Let's go to DVD. And I've got one in the side there ready to go. Select DVD. I think we've got to give it a bit of a push. There we go. Hopefully it loads and plays. I did take the DVD unit apart just to have a quick look at it, make sure the laser was clean. Other than some broken plastic clips, it all seems in good condition. Here we go, it's starting to load the DVD. That's fantastic. I'll just skip forward for a little bit until it's playing. And here we go, it seems to be playing nicely. The sound's okay. Beautiful. Very happy with that. All right, we'll stop that. And we'll eject the DVD. Fantastic. We can power off and I can take the unit to the shop to sell it. Well, what a saga that was, hey? I replaced 19 capacitors in all, and problems on both boards, and of course the big capacitor was probably the main problem, but if I think we had to replace that, it still wouldn't have worked properly with all the other issues. Got it back together, cleaned it up, cleaned the remote, ready for sale. Was it worth it? Well, economically, not even close. I spent quite a lot of hours on this. We might get $100 for it. We might have to drop to $80. It is a good size for a bedroom, perhaps with the DVD player and the remote. So I think I might try it at $100, but that's not going to cover my time. But more valuable was the lessons I learned. Being able to save it from going to landfill, or at least the e-waste stream, was great as well. Parts-wise, the capacitors were pretty cheap, and some of them were ones that I'd salvaged anyway off some other things, and they tested okay. So not much expense in parts, mostly time. But I'm pleased now to have it finished. I'm pleased to actually have a successful repair job. I can get it off my bench, out of my shed, into the shop, make a few bucks back, and hopefully this video might make a few dollars to help me cover my time. But now I'll be on to something else. Pleased to get this out. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed that journey. Catch you in the next video. Bye for now.